Hey you guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Long time no see, right? I have been so crazy busy and I kind of want to talk about all of that today, so I'm not going to make this intro too wordy. I am getting ready to run a couple errands and film another video in my very limited free time right now, so I've decided to kind of kill two birds with one stone and do a quick little get ready with me talking about the stuff that's going on right now and what my plans are going forward. So if you don't really care about like med school stuff and just kind of life updates, that's okay. I won't be offended if you skip this one, but that's kind of what I'm planning to talk a little bit about today. So if you're curious about how the life of a brand new fourth year medical student is going and all of the things I'm thinking about right now and why I've been so MIA lately, then keep on watching and we'll get into all of that while I'm getting ready. Obviously. So I'm going to start with my eyes. I'm going to try to remember to mention everything I'm using, but if I forget anything, everything will be listed in the description below. So let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to prime my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. So first things first, the kind of salient point right now, obviously, is my setup looks a little bit different. I decided to move some things around and try something new. I know it still looks kind of jank. That's my Ring camera. All of this going on. Yeah, I know. Look, I live in a small apartment. I'm making do with what I've got. And when I have a little bit more time and emotional bandwidth, I'm going to try to come up with some solutions to make this look a little bit more presentable. But right now, my brain is so scattered. I am so just like thinking about a million things at once. But like most of the scatterbrainedness comes down to one thing, and that is the medical licensing exam that I take at the end of this month. Next, I'm just grabbing this cute little Wander Beauty Duo. It's got like this kind of satiny shade and a glitter topper, so I'm just kind of gonna throw a quick look together with that. I'm gonna throw this in the satiny kind of metallic-y shade in my crease real quick. It's just kind of this taupey brown color. So what is the deal with this licensing exam? Well, the United States medical licensing examination is 3 parts. So you take the first part in between your second and third years of medical school, and that kind of covers all the basic science, so like making sure your foundations are good. The second step is the one that I am about to take, and that one covers more of like clinical management and like, you know, if this person comes in like this, then what do you do next? And then the third step is similar in content to this step that I'm studying for right now. You take it as an intern, which is the first year of residency. Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure the content is fairly similar, but I know the formatting is pretty different. Like I know some of it's like open-ended responses. I'm not thinking about that until I get to it. The point is, I am currently in the process of preparing myself to take the second step of this exam. Now, in previous years, the second step of this exam was like not important. Like it was important. It's always been important. But this year it's like more important than it's ever been. And that is because I am in the guinea pig class. And for us, we were the very first class to take that first step of the exam as a pass-fail exam. So previously, you would get a score on that first test and a score on this test. And both of those scores would get taken into account when you like applied to residencies and stuff. That is no longer the case. Now they will see that you passed the first exam and you will only have a score for this exam. Now the thought process behind doing that was to essentially make the score on that first exam like matter less, because there were a lot of places where like depending on what specialty you wanted to go into and where you were applying, there was sort of this thought that basically the only thing that would decide whether you got your foot in the door at a program was what score you got on that first exam. And so they wanted to get away from that. And so they were like, okay, let's make it pass fail so that we're, you know, taking into account more than just the score on that exam, because that exam, like I said, is basic sciences anyway, and it's not super predictive of what you do on a day-to-day basis in most clinical practices. However, what they kind of ended up doing is making it so now this second exam is the only one that matters. So it's kind of like the most important exam I've ever taken. No big deal, though. I'm literally losing my mind. I've been studying for countless hours, which just doesn't even make sense because my practice exam scores have been where I want them to be so far. And yet here I am just like, no, but I have to keep grinding. I have to do even better, which is just silly. I'm going to go ahead and take the topper shade and just put it on my lids. I've just been really stressing myself out about it, and I need to calm down. I really do. Last week was my first week of like, I'm off of classes taking 4 weeks just to study for this exam, and then I take it at the end of that 4-week period. And last week I was just like going absolutely insane. I was studying for like 10 or 11 hours a day, which is why I didn't get anything done for this channel or really any other part of my life. And then at the end of the week, I took a practice test. My score went down because I was just so burnt out. I took the weekend off, came back and started doing practice questions again today. And wouldn't you know it, I did better. So I'm trying to tell myself that even though I'm a neurotic, crazy person, I need to do a little bit less because it keeps my brain functioning better. And when my brain functions better, I do better. I'm also being like really unnecessarily neurotic because like I said, I'm already scoring in the range where I want my real test score to be. I don't know. It's just like when this is such a big part now of what is going to determine whether or not you can get your foot in the door, I just want to do as well as humanly possible. And I'm kind of a chronic perfectionist. I've always kind of been the kind of person who sets my expectations of myself way too high. I mean, I'm in med school. I'm pretty sure that's like a prerequisite for getting into med school. You have to be like a wild perfectionist, type A weirdo who like sets their expectations of themselves way too high. I'm gonna go ahead and prime my face with my e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. I've been loving this ever since I started using it. It's just really good. The Charlotte Tilbury one is like shinier, but this one just has more coverage and is like, it's just better for the everyday. It's also only $14, so like if I use it up, I won't feel as bad about buying another one. But yes, so that has kind of been the number one thing on my mind for the last several weeks, really, but especially since I got into this dedicated study time, I have just been going insane. So I'm trying to remember the goals that I set for myself at the beginning of this year, where I told myself, I'm going to make sure I take time for myself every day. I'm going to do yoga. I'm going to do videos. And even if I don't film a video, just like take time to play with makeup because it's therapeutic and fun for me. Just making sure that I stay mentally stable because honestly, it makes me do better. Like I'm teaching myself that by going crazy and then seeing my scores fall and then taking a break and seeing them come back up again. I'm teaching myself that I need to take time to recuperate because it actually makes me perform better. And I mean, I know that. I've always known that. But like seeing it happen before your eyes is like, just reinforces it, I'm going to go ahead and throw some gel in my brows while that sets down so that I can be a little messy with it. This is the Benefit Gimme Brow. So one of the things that's kind of keeping me sane while I go through, or, as sane as I'm going to be, while I'm going through these few weeks is kind of just thinking about what comes next, like what comes after this exam. Because, I mean, obviously all of med school you're trying to learn as much as possible to be a better doctor, right? But there's always an end goal up to this point. Like for the first 2 years of med school, the end goal is take that first exam and pass it. The goal in the third year of med school is to do really well in all of your individual courses. So like each rotation that you do. And then there's an exam at the end of each rotation and you want to do well on that. So you're always studying, always studying, always studying. At the end of third year, beginning of fourth year, so where I am now, you have to take all of that information that you put onto all of those end of course exams and take this second step of the licensing exam. And then that's it. Like there's no more exams for the rest of med school after this. Like I won't be doing nothing. I'll still be in classes. I'll still be doing rotations, but they'll be like the rotations that I chose to do. And there's no test at the end. So other than like doing stuff for my own knowledge and like preparing to be an intern, there's nothing to be studying for. And that's a really weird feeling when you spend, 3.5-ish years of med school, plus all the years in college, plus, if you're an overachiever who did all the AP classes, like most of us in med school, then most of high school as well, where you dedicate your life to studying. And now for the next like year, until it's time to start preparing for that third exam, there's like nothing coming up to be studying for. That's just really bizarre. Like, it's a bizarre feeling when that's like kind of what you center your life around. And I mean, obviously I do other things. You know, I have the channel, I have places that I go for fun, I see my friends, and I always have done that kind of thing, you know? But at the end of the day, the most important thing has always been, like, do well in school, get where you want to go, blah, blah, blah. And after this exam, it's just kind of going to put me in this weird limbo where I'm not quite done with med school yet, but I don't really have anything coming up that needs to be studied for. I don't know, I think it's going to be kind of a weird experience to basically have, like, a work-life balance, you know? Like, go to a rotation, come home, and then you don't have a bunch of studying to do. Because that's one thing I think a lot of people don't get about medical school and, like, being on rotations. By the way, I just put on this Revlon ColorStay Light Cover Foundation. It's, like, more of a tinted moisturizer type thing. It has pretty decent coverage for something called Light Cover. I just picked this up, so this is new to me. I'll keep trying this. Concealer, I'm using ColourPop Pretty Fresh on the face and Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape under the eyes. But yeah, like I was saying, I think one thing a lot of people don't understand about medical school, especially like third year when you hit rotations, is you go to these rotations and you work a full day, just like everybody else there. You're there a full day. So like, you know, 9 to 5 if you're lucky, 8 to 5 more like in some places, and if you're in surgery, it's more like 6 to 6, 6 to 7. Sometimes in internal med, it was 6 to 5. Like it was stuff like that. Like it was a long day, and then you come home, and if you're like me, you have then set yourself up to have an entire day's worth of studying to do, and you have like 5 hours to do it before you need to be in bed to wake up to get up at 5 the next morning. It's a lot. It's like, it's basically doing 2 full-time jobs all the time. And, you know, I got used to that. I've been doing that for a long time now. First 2 years of med school were less like that because all you really had to do was study. You were basically just preparing for the next exam all the time. But third year was crazy. Third year was like, I've never had so little just like time to think ever. And now, like, yes, I'm going to be applying to residencies, which is going to take up a lot of time and a lot of my mental energy. But I don't have anything that I'm studying for after this. And it's weird. It's weird when you, like, make your academic performance, like, a huge part of your identity, and then, like, that's going to be over. I don't know. All of this kind of comes with the territory when you're an academic overachiever, and then all of a sudden you get thrust into the working world and you don't really have the same measures of your goals in life anymore. And also I feel like it's a little bit scary because it's like you don't really, when you spend all of your time focusing on school stuff, you never really know like who you are outside of like, I am going to medical school and I want to be a doctor and I get good grades and that's how I got here, you know? I don't know. I know that this sounds really pathetic. This sounds like, you know, like, oh, all you know is school. But like, no, for real. Like ever since I was, you know, 6 years old and I started public school, all I have known is school. And so after this test, it's kind of like, I'm going to go to these rotations, come home and have nothing to do. And I'm like, well, I need to find something to do. I need to, you know, find stuff that I want to do. Things that I want to be doing instead of like studying for the next test, you know? It's just a weird feeling. It's a weird thing to think about. And I'm not thinking that hard about it right now just because I still do have so much to work on. But it's strange to think about. So obviously I'm going to have more time to put into the channel is kind of where I was going with that. I'm going to try to improve my setup a little bit. Try to get better equipment, like camera, mic, all that good stuff. I'll be able to spend more time filming. I should be able to go back up to at least once a week, hopefully back up to twice a week if I can swing it. Depends, I guess, which rotation I'm on and how busy interviews get and that kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to just be able to like figure out what I like again, you know? Because in college, I like knew what I liked. Because, I had to study in college. Obviously, classwork was hard, but like a lot of the time you could kind of swing it by cramming at the end, You can't do that in med school. It doesn't work like that. There is no cram at the end. There is, you study from day one to day finished, or you're screwed. At least in my experience. I don't know. I feel like some people have all this free time to do a bunch of stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know where you're getting all of this extra time. I'm literally just here trying to do well in my classes. But different strokes for different folks, I guess. I just put on my Wet n Wild stick blush in the shade Floral Majority, and now I'm going to powder my under eyes with the No7 Lift and Luminate. I'm also going to take this on the forehead in just a couple of spots where I'm a little shinier than I necessarily meant to be. I'm going to powder over my cream cheek products just a little bit with this Becca light shifter. My cat is playing because he always waits till I start filming to go play. It's great. It's a really charming quality of his. I'm going to grab the powder, bronzer, and blush and highlighter from this Hourglass palette. Can't get it anymore, it's old, but I thought I should probably use my face palettes more because I never touch them. Good lord, that bronzer's pigmented. So yeah, I'm excited to, have some time to myself again, have some time to figure myself out again. I wanna go travel a little bit and see my friends. I have friends who are living in other parts of the state. We just kind of all went our separate ways, mostly college friends, a couple of high school friends. And I want to be able to go see people and just, do all of the stuff that everybody else got to do with their early 20s while I was here. Now I get this part of my early 20s for the next year or so to live it up before residency starts, I mean, that being said, there's still a lot of stuff I need to prepare for because once step 2 is over, I will be starting on another rotation, firstly. And secondly, I then have to start worrying about applying to residency. That's like a huge process. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a big, long application to fill out. There's essays to write. You have to pick the programs you're applying to, which is a whole can of worms in and of itself. And I can talk a little bit more about that whole process in a later video if you guys want. I don't want this to be too lengthy. But there's a lot that goes into it. Fortunately, in some ways less fortunately, we don't have to travel as much for interviews anymore. During COVID, all of the residency interviews went online, and most places have kept them over Zoom. It used to be that you had to travel to all of your interviews separately, which got very, very pricey. Not only time-consuming, but mainly pricey. That being said, it is kind of unfortunate because, obviously you want to be able to go actually get a feel for the place. I feel like when I interviewed at different med schools, I learned a lot by actually going there. We're not sure how many places are going to start transitioning back into offering in-person interviews because COVID is kind of functionally over. So there are probably going to be a few places that start transitioning back into that, but most places are probably going to be online still. So on the one hand, that's great because I can do, residency interviews from my living room and it's way less expensive than doing them in person. But on the other hand, it's like you get to meet more people, you get to get a feel for the environment. Because, one thing about residency is you kind of have to apply broadly. You can have preferences for where you want to be, geographically speaking, and it's really encouraged to express those preferences because they want to make sure that you are where you want to be as well. But, there's no guarantee. You kind of have to apply as broadly as possible. So, there's a chance that I could just end up pretty much anywhere in the country for residency. That whole process of how you end up getting put in residencies is so complicated that I literally know fourth-year medical students who are just now kind of figuring the whole thing out. It's very convoluted and kind of scary. Actually, it's so funny. There's around March is when everybody finds out where they're going for residency, and so that's match. You match to a program. And I feel like every year, but this year especially, I saw so many people who aren't in the medical field on TikTok, wait a minute, so you guys just get placed somewhere? You don't get to pick? You guys just end up somewhere for however many years your residency is? And it's well, yeah, kind of. It's more complicated than that. It's not that you don't get a say at all, but, kind of. They kind of just put you somewhere. I'm going to finish filling in my brows with my Brow Wiz. This is going to run out. I'm going to be really sad when it does. I've been using it a lot lately. But yeah, which kind of brings me back to this exam and why it's so important, because obviously the better you look on paper, the more likely you are to get your foot in the door at a program that you like, at a place where you want to be. So long story boring, it's a really freaking important exam, and that's why I'm so stressed out about it. I'm going to throw on some mascara off camera because I suck at talking and doing mascara. This is the Item Beauty Lash Snack. So with all of that being said, what does that mean for this channel is the real question. Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude and Tarte Maracuja Juicy Plumping in Peachy Beige. Well, what that means for the channel is that for the next few weeks, I will probably remain a little bit MIA. I'm planning on posting this week, and then I'm about to film another video that should go up next week, so I'll have some content going up in the meantime. After that, it's exam week, so I doubt I'm really going to have much time to do anything then, so there might be a kind of a long gap, but after my exam, which is July 29th, I will have a lot more time on my hands, and I'm hoping to be able to put more of that time into the channel than I have for the entire time I've been running this channel. I'll have more time to put into this than I literally ever have before. And I'm really excited because I have tons of ideas, but I've kind of had to put a lot of them to the wayside because I just don't have enough time. But I'm finally going to have some time, and I'm going to have some time to explore different hobbies and different fun things that I like to do and figure out, you know, who I am, not just as a med student, but like as a person in my 20s. Who am I? which is cool. I'm excited to get to do that. So yeah, with all of that being said, this is the finished look. I feel very cute, very summery, very bronzy. Kind of ended up being more glam than I thought it was going to be, but whatever, most looks do. I hope you enjoyed this little ramble about where I'm at right now and what's going on, and I hope you're excited for what's coming on the channel post licensing exam part 2. So send good vibes. I will see you in a video next week that I'm actually going to do right now. So you will see me again next week. Really looking forward to what's coming on this channel. And if you are too, I hope you will subscribe down below so you get to be here to see it. Hit like if you enjoyed this video, and leave me a comment down below if you have any thoughts about what I should do when I have some more time on my hands. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking around, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.